Have you ever felt completely lost and utterly desperate, like you're wandering in a desert with no end in sight? That's exactly where the Israelites found themselves after their miraculous escape from Egypt. They had just witnessed God part the Red Sea, a breathtaking display of power, yet their faith was about to be tested in a way they never imagined. As they journeyed through the harsh, barren wilderness of Sinai, their initial joy and relief began to fade, replaced by annoying hunger. The food they had brought with them from Egypt had run out. Fear and panic started to set in. They began to murmur against Moses and Aaron, their leaders. In Exodus chapter 16, verse 3, they cried out, "If only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted. But you have brought us out into this desert to starve this entire assembly to death." It's a powerful human reaction. When our basic needs aren't met, it is easy to forget past blessings and romanticize a past that was actually one of slavery and suffering. They were longing for the familiarity of bondage over the uncertainty of freedom. Their stomachs were empty, and so were their hearts, filled with doubt and despair. But God, in His infinite mercy, heard their cries. He wasn't angry at their weakness. Instead, He saw an opportunity to teach them a profound lesson about trust and dependence. He spoke to Moses, saying, as recorded in Exodus 16, verse 4, "I will rain down bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day and gather enough for that day. In this way, I will test them and see whether they will follow my instructions." Notice the details here. It wasn't just about providing food. It was a daily exercise in faith. God promised to provide, but they had to trust that the provision would be there day after day. The very next morning, as the dew lifted from the desert floor, the Israelites witnessed another miracle. The Bible describes it in Exodus 16, verse 14. When the dew was gone, thin flakes like frost on the ground appeared on the desert floor. When they saw it, they were bewildered. They asked each other, "What is it?" In Hebrew, this question is manhu, and that's how this heavenly food got its name, manna. It was a complete mystery to them, something they had never seen before. It tasted sweet, like wafers made with honey, and it was white in color. It was truly food from heaven, a tangible sign of God's presence and care for them in the middle of nowhere. God's instructions were very specific. Each person was to gather only what they needed for that day, about an omer, which is roughly 2 quarts. This was a crucial part of the test. Could they trust God to provide again tomorrow, or would they hoard the manna out of fear? As Exodus 16, verse 18 says, "And when they measured it by the omer, the one who gathered much did not have too much, and the one who gathered little did not have too little." Everyone had gathered just as much as they needed. It was a perfect provision, miraculously suiting each family's needs. It taught them about contentment and living one day at a time, free from the anxiety of hoarding for the future. However, some people didn't listen. They tried to save some of the manna for the next day, just in case. But their lack of trust had a smelly consequence. The next morning, the manna they had kept was full of maggots and had spoiled. This was a clear lesson. God's provision is fresh every single day. Trying to rely on yesterday's blessings for today's needs doesn't work. We must seek Him and trust Him for our daily bread. There was one exception to this rule. The day before the Sabbath, the 7th day of the week, God commanded them to gather a double portion. This was so they could rest on the Sabbath, as God had commanded. And miraculously, on that day, the extra manna they kept did not spoil. It remained fresh, a sign of God's honor for His holy day. As it says in Exodus 16, verses 23 and 24, "This is what the Lord commanded. Tomorrow is to be a day of Sabbath rest, a holy Sabbath to the Lord." So they saved it until morning, as Moses commanded, and it did not stink or get maggots in it. This weekly rhythm reinforced their dependence on God and taught them the importance of sacred rest. For 40 years, as the Israelites wandered in the desert, this miracle continued. Every single morning, without fail, the manna appeared. It was their sustenance, their life source. It wasn't just about physical nourishment. It was a constant daily reminder that God was with them, guiding them, and providing for their every need. As Deuteronomy 8, verse 3 explains, God's purpose was, to teach you that man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of the Lord. The manna pointed to a deeper spiritual hunger that only God could satisfy. This incredible story of manna from heaven doesn't just end in the Old Testament. Centuries later, Jesus Christ himself referred to this event to reveal an even greater truth. In the Gospel of John, chapter 6, a crowd that Jesus had miraculously fed with loaves and fishes came looking for him. They were looking for another physical meal, another sign. They even brought up the manna, saying their ancestors ate it in the wilderness. But Jesus revealed the true meaning of the manna. He told them in John 6, verse 32, "Very truly I tell you, it is not Moses who has given you the bread from heaven, but it is my Father who gives you the true bread from heaven." He then made one of the most profound statements in all of Scripture. In John 6, verse 35, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty." Jesus was explaining that the manna was a foreshadowing, a symbol pointing to him. The manna provided temporary physical life in the desert. But Jesus, the bread of life, offers eternal spiritual life to all who come to him in faith. The Israelites had to gather the manna every day to live. In the same way, we need to come to Jesus daily for our spiritual sustenance. We need to feed on his word, spend time in his presence, and rely on his grace. The manna spoiled if it was hoarded, showing that faith can't be stored up. It must be lived out fresh each day. So, what does this mean for us today in our own desserts? We all face times of uncertainty, fear, and need. We might not be looking for physical bread, but we might be hungry for hope, for peace, for purpose, or for a solution to an overwhelming problem. The story of the manna reminds us that God sees our needs. He is a God of abundant provision. Just as he provided for the Israelites daily, he promises to provide for us. We are invited to trust him for our daily bread, both physical and spiritual. This means letting go of anxiety about the future and focusing on trusting him for today. It means seeking him first, knowing that he is our ultimate source of life and satisfaction. The greatest provision God has ever given is not something we can gather from the ground, but someone we can receive into our hearts. Jesus is the true manna from heaven. He is the bread of life who satisfies our deepest hunger and gives us life that will never end. Just as the Israelites had to go out and gather the manna, we have to actively receive this gift. We must come to him. Thank you so much for journeying through this incredible story with me. If it has encouraged you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores the depths of faith. Remember, whatever desert you may be walking through, look for God's provision. It might not be what you expect, but he is faithful, and he is the bread of life. God bless.